Is this a game where you just put everything you've ever wanted to do in like one game? I mean, you just...
No, I mean, there's a little more discipline to it than that.
I'm sure, but I mean, it does come off that way in a good way. We are watching Drawn to Death now. It's coming to PlayStation Plus on April 4th. Drawn to Death from Bartlett Jones Supernatural Detective Agency. I'm joined by David Jaffe.
Yep.
And Monty as well from the studio.
Hello.
And game is looking awesome. I mean, it's obviously an awesome style for a shooter like this. It's 4 players, right?
It's 4 players, yeah.
Yep. And the variety of modes, are we playing like a free-for-all right now?
So, so this is ranked free-for-all deathmatch, right? And so what's different about this mode compared to our unranked deathmatch is, again, we're trying to make a game that focuses on the moment-to-moment experience on the battlefield versus sort of the meta in terms of leveling up weapons and things like that you might see in some other shooters. We really wanted to focus on this engagement when you're fighting. And so in this mode, ultimately every time you die, you lose a point. And it's the first player to reach 5 points is the winner. And again, we did that because in so many shooters, you really don't care about dying. It's like, fine, kill me, I don't care, I'll respawn, I'll jump back in, shoot. But here we wanted players to learn the battlefield, to learn where health is, to learn how to play defensively, to learn how their enemy attack tells look like in terms of like, oh, this guy's about to use a really big, powerful charge attack. I care about that because I don't want to lose a point if I die. And so we really want to build a mode that puts as much focus on defense as offense, which we don't see in as many shooters as we would like to.
And the time to kill here, I notice, is a little longer than we see in some other games. Like,
it's very long. I mean, yeah, it depends. Like right now, Monty's playing with a bunch of QA guys, and they're all kind of just kind of going to town on each other. But this is also a bit of an older build from what's going to launch when this hits the 4th of April, and that we've actually gone in and toned down some of the weapons even a little more. Because again, yeah, we do want players to survive long enough that they can go get help, that they can turn the tables, that they can change tactics. And we did. We wanted it to feel as much like a brawler. I always hesitate to use the word fighting game, because fighting games, it would be deceptive to say this is as deep as a game like Street Fighter, let alone Mortal Kombat. But it's definitely a game that's meant to motivate players when they're on the battlefield to do as much mental thinking about the moment-to-moment combat as they are just letting loose with weapons. And all of the weapons have different functionalities, different pros and different cons. I'm trying to see what Monty's got with him. So Monty's got the Fister right now, which is that was a relatively simple weapon, and that the more you charge it up, the more damage it does. But Monty, come in with something. Let's see what options you got. I don't know what's you don't have everything unlocked, do you?
Oh, I do. These are the 5 I do.
Oh, okay. We'll come back in with. But what you'll notice, like when he's fighting, let's see the first guy he encounters, because all of the other character specials, I guess what I'm trying to hint at or go for or express clearly, I guess, is this idea of mental engagement is very important to me in terms of how we hope players approach this game, and that we want players to be able to really read and recognize what their enemies are doing and have that satisfaction that comes from doing well because you have that information and you know how to deal with it. Like in this case, Bronco is sending out this little drone, and if you're not aware that you can shoot the drone down, that thing can pretty much end you in a couple of, like, maybe 5 or 6 seconds. But it's super easy to take down, but you've got to realize, oh, that specific attack is on me. Bronco is able to send that out anywhere in the level, and it'll only do a point of damage per shot. But if he chooses not to send it out and use it as a close-range weapon, it ends up doing 2 points of damage, so it's a much more powerful attack. So again, even having that awareness of like, oh crap, it's Bronco with the drone, and that thing's tight on him, it's going to be doing a lot more damage to me, I need to target it and take it out really quickly. That's sort of mental meat and mental gameplay nutrition that I think is a lot of fun when you sort of know the game and excel by using that information.
Mental meat, I like that. That's what I'm gonna keep.
There you go.
One thing that does occur to me a little bit, I've seen some of this game. I played a very, very early build of it several years ago with PSX. I think it was the first PSX, actually.
Yeah, we've had it for the very first PSX.
Yeah, so obviously shaping up really cool. I'm a huge fan of the Twisted Metal series, and I do notice some, spiritual similarities. So obviously you worked on Twisted Metal Black. Did that kind of enter your mind at all as you were making Drawn to Death?
I just think I mean, you know, Sony is always. You know, I always say this, and I'd like to think I've said it enough now that people say, "Jesus, Jaffe's always saying that." And it, you know, for the years I've been doing interviews, it's because it's true. Is Sony's always been so great about letting their developers really sort of follow their own North Stars. And in this case, whether it's people have said that this feels like Twisted Metal on foot. And I think there's, you know, that wasn't a conscious choice, but I think Twisted Metal reflects the kind of shooters that I like, and I think this game is an evolution of that. I think this is much deeper than the last Twisted Metal that we made. But absolutely, I think both emotionally and tonally, it's probably a sweeter tone than Twisted Metal, even though it looks very insane and vulgar and whatnot. Hey, Monty, yeah, let's pick some different weapons and a different character. Let's pick Ninja. And then, I don't know, let's do, well, do the fence grenade, that's good. Those are all good. Let's get rid of the FU-47, though, and pick something more interesting. Like Dodgeball Dan, maybe, or... And then maybe kill the Quadzuka, if you would, and let's go with the, with the Devil Monkey. And then, yeah, that'll work for now.
What does the game system do?
What do you mean?
The JRPG?
It's basically, yeah, let's do... What you want to do? Let's do Organ Donor and do it in. I don't know, let's do it in Flood, maybe. Okay. The JRPG is it fires 2 Japanese role-playing game carts.
I get it. Okay.
That when they explode in all their sort of 16-bit glory. It looks like sort of, you know. And I think, Monty, what is it that gets you a critical? If you get a kill with it, I think that's what it is, right, Monty? It also leaves behind sort of old school, like 8-bit hearts that you can pick up and get health for your characters. So that's more straightforward. This is Organ Donor. So in this one, every time you kill an enemy, they drop a heart, and there's 2 bases, and there's a 2x base that's moving around the level, and there's a 1x base that kind of pops around the level, but it's stationary when it's been popped. And the more hearts you have, the slower it takes to deposit, and it's the first person to get to 20 points wins. And so it's this constant risk reward between, I want to carry a bunch of hearts if I can, but if I'm carrying too many, it's going to take me a lot longer to deposit. And it's a very tactical mode, sort of free-for-all tactical mode.
So what has changed, broadly speaking, since the last time we've seen the game?
So a lot of it is we've added characters like Ninja is new, Bronco is new, levels like Bloodbath is new, modes like Organ Donor is new.
Lots of new stuff.
There's a lot of new stuff. And then, you know, we also just continued to you know, tune the crap out of the game and just really kind of get it playing exactly the way we wanted, making the characters feel very, very different, making the weapons feel very different and balanced, and just, you know, yeah, so tonally, I like the weapon tonally, of course. But what I love is that, mechanically speaking, let's see. So when it comes to Devil Monkey, you don't know what she's going to poop out. And so sometimes it's sort of a homing freeze weapon that freezes somebody in the air and causes them to crash and shatter. Other times, let's see what she's got. So this is just sort of a standard homing projectile. So he's going to pick up the hearts right now. And, yeah. And then this is neat. There's an instant respawn that every maybe 2 minutes you'll have the option after you use it once. You have to wait 2 minutes, but it'll let you come right back to life, but you only have 25% health.
Oh, interesting.
So again, it's kind of like, when do you want to use that and kind of save that up for when you need it the most. In that case, Monty was really smart to use it then, so now he got his hearts back.
Good call.
Yeah.
What inspired you to make this game? Because I don't see a lot of shooters you see out there. You kind of go, oh, this kind of comes from the Call of Duty DNA or the Battlefield DNA or Quake maybe. You know, in terms of the actual gameplay stuff I'm seeing here, it's super unique.
Yeah, I mean, I just love. So okay, I mean it's a path from Twisted Metal Black to God of War to this, right?
Okay.
Where Twisted Metal Black, I was so in love with the universe of Twisted Metal and sort of doing that dark version. And then I really wanted to do storytelling and gameplay with God of War.
Right.
And after God of War, it was just sort of an evolution for me. And I get that not all gamers will hear what I'm about to say and agree with it, because a lot of gamers love their sort of heavy story-based games and stuff like that. But
Sure.
for me, it was a realization of, I just love gameplay, and I love mechanics, and I love that mental feeling you get when you're able to master a game system especially a game system in a competitive game, because there's really nothing, you can't really, other than maybe playing a real life sport, you can't really get that feeling anywhere else.
Yeah.
You might be able to get, something that tugs at your heartstrings, like maybe a certain video game story or whatever that you can also get, in a great, Hallmark card commercial, right? It's like those feelings are reflected and accessible in other mediums, but video games are really the only medium, at least for me, that I had this awareness of, like, we can do emotions that just, like, engagement and competition and a sense of sort of learning about a system and then mastering that and how it feels when you master it is such a cool, unique feeling to video games and sports and board games. That, to me, I think that's just when you say, oh, it looks unique or it plays unique, it's because I'm just sort of, that's the North Star that I've been chasing.
You really wanted to do something different that was mechanical in nature, gameplay-centric.
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw it, anybody who's followed the stuff I've been fortunate enough to work on, right after God of War, we did a game for PSN called Calling All Cards.
That's right.
But not everybody, I get a lot of people like, what is this, Jaffe? But it was sort of that first step into sort of mechanics-first game design. And it's just been an evolution, and I think this is sort of the best, crack at the, what's the metaphor? It's not a crack at bat. What is it? It doesn't matter. The point is, Sid, it's the best version of that kind of game that I've had the fortune to work on. So I'm super excited and proud of it, and I'm hoping there's enough gamers out there that really kind of vibe with what we're trying to do and dig it.
Well, I love again, just that it's so original. I can't really point to any other game and go, oh, this is kind of a riff on that game, unless you say Twisted Metal, which is probably about as close as I can come. But it's pretty different from the Twisted Metal as well.
Yeah, I would think so.
And I totally agree with your points on the mechanics. I mean, I'm a big Overwatch fan.
Yeah.
And they do a great job with that. And
They do.
it kind of almost, it was an aha moment for me as a player going, man, I really miss sort of an original competitive shooter experience,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was happening, certainly we watched about a year and a half ago when Blizzard announced Overwatch. And at first we were like, oh, okay, we hope it's not too similar, so that, there's room for us as well.
Yeah, I don't think you had to worry too much about that.
well, not from a standpoint, I mean, certainly their level of execution is leaps and bounds beyond what, they're amazing. They're sort of, master class of that stuff. But just in terms of sort of the moment-to-moment mechanics, I was happy to see that we still play very different.
Oh, yeah.
But that there are gamers out there that, whether you're talking Overwatch or whether you're talking Rocket League or whether you're talking Disc Jam, that just came out, which I think is an amazing,
that's a great game.
Amazing game. It's really cool to know that there's still a home for gamers for just sort of pure competitive games as well.
Absolutely. It's great to see that there's just been so much polish to this game. Every time I see it, like I remember the very first time I played it, it was still in kind of its black and white aesthetic era.
Yeah.
And you guys have really come in with a color, which is a bit of a surprise to me. So tell me a little bit about where you landed on that.
It's just, it's really tough because, it's trying to be respectful of the concept, which is it takes place in a notebook, and at the same time it knows that it's still a game, and you've got to have levels that are differentiated visually, and you've got to have things that read, and so, our hope is that we've kind of straddled that fence that anybody who looks at it still very much goes, okay, this is, they get the idea. It's set in a notebook. They see the lines. At any point, Monty can summon the artist hand and sort of use that mechanically. And there's a handful of different, I don't mean that intentionally, but there's a handful of moves that you can do with the hand and stuff. So hopefully the idea of it being in a notebook is very clear. But at the same time, we had to make concessions for mechanics and just communication. And I don't think we've lost that sense of a notebook while still getting the gameplay.
No, not at all.
But
in
this case, Bronco, who's the soldier character, just raised the dead of his fallen soldier foes or buddies, and so you can tell that again, this goes back to the 4-player only. So Ninja was targeted, and the entire time around her character, she's got this big target on her, letting her know, oh, the ghosts are chasing you. And if you can avoid them for about 30 seconds, you'll get away, scot-free. Again, it's having the mental bandwidth with only 4 players that you're dealing with to actually concentrate on that. If you had 16 other players, you wouldn't even notice that stuff, And
Right.
noticing that stuff is what allows you, I think, to have these more deeper interactions with the people that you're playing against.
Well, it kind of reminds me. I was big into the old Quake 3 Arena days,
Yeah.
Unreal Tournament, and competitive shooters have for a long time kind of moved in a little bit of a different direction, great direction. But it is fun to see just the sheer variety, whether it's in a Drawn to Death or an Overwatch. People are kind of coming at the genre in a very different way these days, which is great.
Yeah, I think it's been very easy to look at. I mean, again, if you go from Quake, and then at least for Drawn to Death, I mean, there's so many influences that really, if we I don't think we would have made this mechanically back in the Quake days, because we had to play Smash Brothers. You know? We had to play a little bit of Rocket League. We had to play Hearthstone. I mean, there's a lot of lessons learned from those amazing competitive games that we had to go through first to sort of have the ideas to do what we're doing in this game. So
now you guys have had kind of an aggressive beta schedule of this game. You've been kind of collaborating a lot with fans through the beta process. So what was some of the feedback they ended up rolling into the final version here?
I think a lot of it is tuning. A lot of it is sort of, for example, we have an ice can that is, and everything's tied back to what's happening in this kid's life. So the day, if you go out of your way to learn the story of the game, and again, none of it's in cutscenes, it's all hidden, not hidden, but it's all in the game. Like in this, Monty, if you look up in the sky, I'll get back to your question, by the way. But if you look up in the sky, Monty will get killed in a minute. But if there's a detention slip up in the sky.
Interesting.
Where you realize if Monty could do it. But they're totally on Monty. So if he looks up, and again, this is assuming if you sort of go into the free run mode and look around. But this is a kid, so he gets in a fight with this kid named Fincher. That story pays off in different levels and pays off in the Video Dome opening where he's in the classroom and stuff. Even if you turn to the right, Monty, and look at the Statue of Liberty, and he's writing about the Statue of Liberty over under the gun, Monty. So you can kind of start to see, like, he's talking about, dreams that he had and thoughts that he has about his life and stuff. And actually, if you shoot that trigger there, it'll automatically fire the gun. Anybody who's on the gun will kill him. Like, there's a lot of those little secrets and stuff. And
that's cool.
Yeah, there's like this old lady living in this eye patch down here that if you shoot the eye patch, she pops up. So we wanted to like pack it with lots of things like, hey, what if we try this? But anyway, the point being is that
is crazy.
We had this ice can. Back to your question. We have this ice can, and the kid in class, if you study the story and stuff, he was like his teacher. They were studying like nitroglycerin and stuff, and he made this weapon that you can freeze people with. And I love that, but what was happening in the beta was that people were getting freezes and getting headshots with the sniper rifle, and it was so you wanted to throw the controller at the screen.
Yeah.
It was super frustrating to be on the receiving end of, and that really only came to light because we put it out and had the fans explain it. And so we ended up solving it in a weird way because we didn't want to lose the ice can, which we love the mechanic of, and we didn't want to nerf the sniper rifle so much that it didn't feel like a sniper rifle.
Right.
And so we ended up kind of saying it's such crazy logic, but people seem to have bought it, and it makes the game better, which is anytime you encase somebody in ice, it kind of acts, they're frozen, and you're going to get some free hits, but it does like 40% less damage because it's like a shield of ice.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but again, thematically, it's kind of stupid. But it works perfectly for gameplay. So you get the satisfaction of having this great ice freeze weapon. You can freeze people in the air, and they fall and shatter and all this stuff. But you don't have this frustration of getting hit and instantly dying because of a sniper rifle. And so, again, all of that extra time that we've been able to get from Sony and having the beta testers working with us all this time has really allowed a lot of that stuff to come to the front so we could fix it. Whereas I think if we would have launched as originally scheduled, we would have launched with that stuff, and I think people would have been like, oh, it's not tuned well enough, Well, it takes mechanics-based games take a very long time because you can't really necessarily even imagine how all of the systems, it's like making a cake or something, and you have an idea of what these ingredients are going to taste like when it bakes, but you don't really know until you try it, So
let's try one more. It looks like you're playing as Johnny Savage. So the game will ship with on PlayStation Plus April 4th. You can pick it up even if you don't have Plus, but it is free with Plus. 6 characters, I believe?
6 characters we're launching.
So what's how did you approach kind of what makes different characters unique and what makes them play differently? Because the game is, I've had limited experience with it. It is a chaotic game. There's a lot going on.
It's yes, it is, but I hope that the player's experience when they actually are controlling it doesn't feel so chaotic that it feels like noise. Because
Right,
again,
right.
so much effort has been put into, and we're still tuning. We'll see when it gets out there if we need to make some adjustments. But it's really, it shouldn't feel so chaotic that you're like, okay, this is, it might as well not have any unique mechanics because I don't know what the hell's going on.
I'm having a pretty easy time following along, but I mean, I think it's just, you know, the different weapons are like kind of grafted onto your body, and there's like so many like kind of visual flourishes.
There's a lot to learn. You don't have to learn a lot to get in and play, but if you want to get good at the game, we've built a very deep end of the swimming pool, and we want players. We hope we can attract enough players that really vibe with that level of uniqueness and depth, and all the characters, you know, they have counters and pros and cons against each other, and it's a pretty meaty game, like I said. So in terms of how we came up with the characters, I think they all probably start with one or two core mechanics, and then we build on top of that and around that. Johnny Savage really started mechanically with the idea of two mechanics I wanted to play with. One is I wanted to revisit a mechanic we did in Twisted Metal 2, which the hearse called Shadow had, that you launch this thing out and
coffin, and then you detonate it. Yeah, that's
so we
fun.
kind of added a bit of timing to it, so you could detonate it and then double detonate it. But if you do that underneath certain characters, like if you do that under Cyborgula in the air, it does triple damage. But if you do it under Diablo Tijuana, it ends up she absorbs the demon and becomes super strong. So you don't,
Interesting.
Yeah, you don't want to use it against her.
Like, I've never heard of it. I've never heard of an interaction like that in an online competitive game. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
I'm not playing the right games.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
but as a unique perspective to have it. I must say.
Can you go to the costumes for a second, Monty? I just want to show a little bit of the variety of tone as well. Sorry, go ahead. You go to the. Oh, we can do it here, I guess.
I was going to say. I mean, the game's concept is a kid doodling in his notebook.
Yeah.
But I got to say. Seeing the game being played and hearing you talk about all the different sort of interactions and things that are, I think it's fair to say, are not exactly standard issue in the industry.
Go to the taunt. I'm sorry, Sid.
Sure,
go to the taunts. I want to just show off some of the taunts. You can come back into the lobby. Sorry, go ahead. Not standard issue.
Not standard issue, and it actually makes me. It almost seems like a game where it's like, you know, let's just go completely crazy. Let's just throw everything. Is this a game where you just put everything you've ever wanted to do in like one game? I mean, you just.
No, I mean, there's a little more discipline to it.
Yeah,
than
I'm
that.
sure, but I mean, it does come off that way, in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game where we get to basically make cool characters that fight each other, and so like everything that inspires you. Like, I finally got around to watching John Wick, the first one, and I was like, this was like a month ago. I'm like, okay, the next character we make, let's explore maybe not making a John Wick character, but can we make a character that mechanically gives you that sense of adrenaline you get when you're watching John Wick,
Interesting,
right?
yeah.
So, but I mean, ultimately, it all has to come from, and the more characters we have, the more characters, the more it's kind of like building a Jenga tower. It's like, okay, well, now if we build a new character, how is it going to interact with the other characters?
Exactly.
So this is an older build. The build, but just if you, so basically, one of the things that players are able to unlock are the taunts that you can do on each other in the game and in the lobby. And so we have like over 100 of them. They're just really, my favorite one is, I think it's called He Left, which is like an epic taunt. It's hard to get. But I just think it's just, Andrea Daly, one of our artists, did that, and it's just, I don't know what mean-spirited kind of place she had to be in to create that, but it's just so mean. I love that taunt so much, so I hope I get to unlock that one. They're just wonderful expressions of sort of trash talk.
Super
and
creative. I mean, I would expect nothing less from you. I mean, you were obviously created God of War and Twisted Metal and a lot of other great stuff too. But what I'm getting at here is, I mean, it's unbridled, this game.
There's a lot of creative freedom, but it's because of it's set in a kid's notebook. And what's fun about that is that we really, we hope, I keep saying, because it's like, look, how do I put this? You never know how a game's going to do. Right? You never know. We hope that the game's successful enough that we're able to add to the service of it for quite some time, so we can continue to play in this world, because really it's this bored, creative, talented kid. Whatever he thinks of, he can put in the game. And so as long as it kind of, maintains the thematic and the art style, and as long as it maintains kind of the heart of the game, because underneath all the bawdiness and the lewdness and the juvenile aspects, there's I wouldn't say there's a story, because we're not telling a story, but there's a heart to it. It's a kid dealing with crap of growing up. And so that's not the core of the game, but as long as we can do all those things, yeah, we can kind of do whatever we want, you know.
This mystery box I do want to call out here. So tell me a little bit about how this works.
So basically, either with real life money or with kills. So if you do 150 kills, we give you a free mystery box. And then inside the mystery box, why don't you go ahead and open one right now, Monty? And so, okay, he got a skin for Cyborgula. You get 3 items per box. He got the Angry Kitten taunt, and he got the Rip taunt. So you'll always, you know, so there's basically skins and costumes. Let's open one more. This is in the name of Sid. This is an honor.
Give me another.
Of Sydney.
That's right.
And again, you can accelerate Brave Knight Bronco. That's my favorite skins. Chroma style. And obviously, if you get duplicates, that goes towards your coin, so you can buy stuff with duplicates as well.
That's good.
And then if you go to the checklist, Monty, of the characters, so here's all the skins. There's also skins that you can unlock just by playing the game that have nothing to do with the mystery boxes. That's the only way to get those skins. We're actually going to be selling some skins that are exclusive to the PlayStation Store on launch day,
Okay.
Which we can't talk about just yet, but they're really, really, really cool. And then we have these skins that come out of mystery boxes that if you don't want to spend a dime, you can get it by getting kills. And that's so, you know, there's lots of ways to do it. And then we have the taunts as well, which won't look like much of anything right now. It's just rows and rows and rows and rows of taunts that you can unlock.
Good stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot. Oh, and go to the tower too. So there's a lot. You know, one of the things is, I mean, it's a full featured. I mean, there's a lot.
There's a lot to this game.
There is a lot. I mean, so once you get into ranked mode, you unlock towers, and we don't know. We're hoping we're going to update the tower every 6 weeks. Our first launch tower is based on Grimm's Fairy Tales, kind of his twisted version. So if you pull back, you'll see that he's only made it to floor 14. And as you win and lose games, you gain and lose stars, and so it's kind of a bit of a challenge to make it to the top every month or every season. And you also unlock stickers, which you can see on the left. Monty's unlocked these stickers so far, and I just like. I mean, just zooming into the tower and looking at the story of the tower. Every time you unlock a new floor and that darkness goes away, there's just so much cool stuff to look at and see.
That's awesome.
Even if you go, I mean, I talk your ear off, but you know, if you go to the character, don't do it. I mean, but if you can, there's like a cell phone in here that you can see the guy, the artist, and the girl he really likes. They're texting back and forth in class about the actual characters, and she's like, "Well, why did you create this one?" And he goes into all this backstory and stuff. So it's just like, if you like the world of Drawn to Death, there's just a lot to do and discover.
There's a deep rabbit hole to go down
Absolutely,
here. It's
absolutely,
great.
yeah.
That's fascinating stuff. Dave, it's been an honor having you on PlayStation
I
Underground.
appreciate it. It's always fun coming and talking to you guys.
Getting what I feel like is barely scratching the surface on this Drawn to Death. This online shooter that's coming out with PlayStation Plus for PlayStation Plus members on April 4th. Thanks to both of you. Thank you, Monty, as well, for the expert gameplay.
Thanks for having
us. Let's all play Drawn to Death.
All right, we'll see you there.
PlayStation